Hey guys, welcome to JasonWhiskyWise, and myself, Jason, bringing you whiskey review number 39, where we're going to review the Hibiki 12-year-old. So this is a whiskey I picked up close to 2 years now. Well, actually a year and a half ago. So the Hibiki 12, hopefully you can see that there autofocus well. This is what I picked up a year and a half ago, and I've only opened it recently because I wanted to do a review on it. Now, a subscriber did ask me to review the Japanese whiskies. So Hibiki 12, 17, Yamazaki 12, 18, Distillers Edition, Hakushu Distillers 12, 18. If I can get the 25s, by all means, fingers crossed, that'll be absolutely insane stuff. But we're going to begin with the Hibiki 12-year-old. Now, I will do a bit of Japanese, a bit of Scottish, a bit of sort of world whiskies, and then return back. So it'll be a mixture for the upcoming month, and we'll have a review for pretty much almost every day. So there we're going to pour ourselves a little dram. This actually looks so cool, and this is the half litre, just so you guys know. It's not the 70cl. They do release two actual 12-year-olds, one being the half litre, which is a smaller one, and the slightly bigger one being a 70cl. So, to begin the review style structure, we poured ourselves a dram. This is an age statement whiskey of 12 years. It is bottled at an ABV of 43% ABV. And in terms of the cask selection, it is a blended whiskey. So, it does contain whiskey from Yamazaki, Hakushu, I believe Cheetah, which is a single grain whiskey, and a few of the other Suntory-owned blends, or Suntory-owned whiskies. So you've got a couple other malt whiskies and grains that go into it. Now, in terms of the distillery, again, it's a blended whiskey, so combination of a few. And in terms of the company, it is owned by Suntory, and they actually write that quite clearly over there, Suntory Whiskey, which you probably will see over there. So, very well known for producing the Yamazaki, which won quite a few awards. And even the Hakushu become very difficult to find. And I just picked up 2 bottles the other day when I flew out. So you will see them in upcoming reviews. Now, the region of this one and origin is from Japan. And the price point of view, this one I picked up a year and a half ago. Picked it up for £30 for the half litre in Tesco's. So really good buy on that for the half litre. It's actually currently marketed or valued at around about £84 to £100 anywhere you look at online. So considering I picked that for £30 and I bought 8 of these and I gave away 7 as gifts because I thought, you know, they look like good gifts and they're not too big. And now I kind of regret that because I could have made 2 or 3 times the money on those whiskies. But end of the day, hopefully the people I gave it away to will be enjoying those whiskies. So in terms of exclusivity wise, yes, it is exclusive because I was told they don't produce the 12 anymore. Lack of age statement whiskies, so it is sort of exclusive, but at the same time, some places I still find it when I was in Edinburgh last week, or a few days ago. So yeah, mix and match on that. I'd say it's 50-50. It is exclusive and isn't at the same time. So the colouring on this whiskey I will not specify because it is a blend. So next we're going to move into the assessment of the colour of this whiskey, and it does have a sort of a lighter colour than the last whiskey I reviewed, and I'm going to go more towards a chestnut amber because it does have a slightly lighter hue to it. So chestnut amber, let's begin by nosing the whiskey. So into the nose. So to begin the notes on the actual nose of this whiskey, you do get a nice sweetness, but at the same time you're greeted by that sort of floral note and a little bit of spice. So to open up, I'm going to start with a little citrus, which reminds me more towards a sort of a blood orange. And then it works itself into a spiced green apple that's slightly stewing in its own sort of juices, but a little bit of spice of clove playing itself very nicely on the palate. Next, I'm also picking up a little bit of hibiscus, which is a floral note, and right behind that, a little bit of polished oak, which just gives it a little bit of uniqueness to it. And right behind there, you're getting a bit of plum juice and a bit of sweeter floral notes, like a bit of blossoms playing itself just on the end, and then you get a bit more of that sweetness going back in. So it's a combination of sweet floral notes, a little bit of fruity, and the reason I say plums is because it does have a little bit of dry but slightly bitter hint to it. So quite an interesting nose in this whiskey. So next we're going to move into the palate for this whiskey. So initial impressions of the first tasting on the palate. It does begin sort of like a light, sort of medium texture that begins onto the palate, and then you're instantly greeted by the spice aspect. I'm not too sure if it's 43% ABV, but more towards, I'd say, is like a bit of pink pepper, and the blood oranges are back in flow with giving that little bit of citrusy zing to it as it zips across the palate. And then right after that, a little bit of sweetness that comes in, and it reminds me of sort of fresh apricots and a little bit of dates combined together. Really nice sort of way they play together, and a little bit of dryness coming in then after that. So more towards, I say, plum skins, as it gives a little bit of dryness but a little bit of fruity notes, and right behind that a soft polished oak that just sort of gives you that age statement behind it. So you can definitely tell it has been given a little bit of age to it. So quite an interesting palate. So next we're going to move into the assessment of the finish for this whiskey. So into the finish for this whiskey, it does have quite a nice warmth to it, but then the peppery spice really just quite pungent. It sits around the sides and more towards the back of the palate, which makes it a little bit uncomfortable. It sort of gives you that sort of like a medium finish, and then suddenly just stops itself in its tracks. Right behind that little bit of spice, as that fades, you're getting more towards sultanas, but more sultana skins, offering that little bit of sweetness, a little bit of an oaky dryness, which sort of finishes actually the flavor profiles just there. And I feel a little bit of citrus coming right in the back, and it's more towards what reminds me of a spiced marmalade, but with more zest in it. So less sweetness, more citrusy zest. So as soon as you get that oakiness that comes through, boom, it stops, and then your flavor profile is pretty much ended, and that's how the finish ends. So on that note, I'm going to give you guys my overall rating for this whiskey, and my rating is based on the fact that exclusivity, the price, and the flavor profile, because I've got to take all the major sort of things into consideration. So overall, I'm going to give this one an 82 out of 100. It's a good whiskey, but the fact that you're paying close to triple the price that you should be for it than what it was back, a year or two ago, I feel that's a little bit asking too much for a half litre, paying almost, up to 100 and I think it was £100. So I feel that's a little bit too pricey on that side. In terms of flavor profile, it's very nice. You get the floral notes, the little bit of sweetness. The spice aspect, I feel, subtracts away from those really nice, rich qualities that gives you that sort of Japanese style. And I think that's because of the youth and that little bit of oakiness that dries it out. Initially, it's not one of my favorites on this particular style. Out of all the Japanese whiskies I've tried, it just didn't really work for me. So on that note, that's why I've given it 82 out of 100, but if you like the sort of like floral but more spice, then you might enjoy this one a bit more. But personally, I feel the spice sort of took it away, and that's the reason behind the rating, and the fact that you're paying close to £100 or between 80 to 100, so triple the price, and the fact that you probably won't be able to find this, so it can be quite exclusive. So if you do find it under, £60, then by all means pick yourself up a bottle, give it a try if you haven't tried it already. If any of you guys are in London, let me know. I'll bring this down, and you guys can sample this somewhere in one of the whiskey shops in London if I'm around, because at the end of the day, I've only drank that much in effectively 2 years, so let me know if you want to try that. But anyway, on that note, I'm going to wrap up the review here. If you guys have enjoyed the review, be sure to click the subscribe button over there. Check out my other videos, which should be featured over here. And I'm going to move into the Hibiki 17-year-old. So I'll catch you guys for the next video. But this has been Jason from WhiskyWise, and I'll see you all for the next video.